What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new to the channel too and want to hit the subscribe button, that'll help me out immensely. Please forgive me for my absence. I started this year out all gas, no brakes. Been incredibly busy with the main job, of course, and the business has been popping. So I'm really grateful about that. But don't you guys worry, I have been doing a lot of work to the R32 Nissan Skyline behind the scenes. In the last video, I let you all know that we did have some very minor bugs to attend to. Essentially, I had a very minuscule coolant leak coming from the Boostocks heater core delete kit. Essentially, this guy right here, when I first installed this, I just put it in as is. I hit it with a hammer, and if you can see there, it wasn't sealing properly, thus making everything leak out. But I did order a new one about 4 weeks ago, froze it. On the male part here, I put some sleeve retainer, and then on the mounting surface here, I put a ton of Honda Bond, and I just pressed it in. And ever since then, been having no issues. I've been letting the car run a good 15 minutes every other day, rev bombing it to between 35 to 4 grand. And everything's holding up. I did replace some clamps because some of them were leaking, and as of right now, everything checks out. So with that being said, mark your calendars because February 25th, Lucas, my brother, and myself are taking the R32 Nissan Skyline to UMS Tuning in Phoenix with Albert to finally get dyno tested. I'm so incredibly stoked. We do have one more major part to install before then, which is here, but I'm going to be saving it for the next video. But so far, everything checks out. Again, we have a billet R32 Neo, Cufford cam head, Nitto bottom end, Garrett top mount G30 770, Artec manifold, the 1050 injector dynamic injectors, D-Torx fuel system, and radium, E85, all the bells and whistles. This thing is going to make some jam. Albert is confident we can make 600 wheel on E85 between 20 and 22 pounds of boost. I redid my wastegate lines. I did figure out that my wastegate was leaking ever so slightly. I got that all situated, and again, now everything is so good, but I do have one more major leak to essentially fix. It's not going to be detrimental if I don't do it with the tune, but I don't want to be driving with this leak and fluid getting all over my turbo and turbo manifold. And you may be asking yourself, what leak could it be, or what is leaking? And that, of course, is the notorious RB power steering pump. This is the original one I got on the Neo. I took it apart to clean the hardware and the outside surface because it was all crusty and grimy. Resealed it, and of course, it's leaking pretty bad from the top and even worse from the bottom. I did go ahead and buy myself an OEM RB power steering pump rebuild kit, but decided I wanted to be a little bit more bougie since business has been going good. So I went ahead and got myself a brand new power steering pump all the way from Australia. And this isn't no ordinary power steering pump. This is a billet power steering pump kit, non-Hikis, from Frenchie's Performance Garage. I've been eyeing this kit, honestly, for the last 6 months, and I finally decided to pull the trigger. Of superb quality. Again, this is a non-Hikis power steering pump, so it is significantly shorter. We got a billet bracket here that connects to the block. We have a very easy way to adjust the belt since the tension on the belt doesn't need to be super tight. They do supply you with AN fittings, of course. I believe this is a -6 and this is a -10, and then all the hardware needed. So this kit suits RB 20, 25, 25 Neo, 26, and 30. And between the different variations of the kit, you will just be utilizing this block here. But for our application, RB20, RB25 Neo, all we need is just this bracket here. Essentially, the offset is going to be 0. So this should be a pretty easy job. Essentially just take off the power steering lines, disconnect the belt, 3 bolts to the bracket to the block, and pray to God we're not oozing out power steering fluid everywhere. Put the new one in, readjust the power steering belt, and bleed the system. First things first, let's go ahead and take off the OEM power steering pump. So essentially you got your adjuster bolt on the bottom there. Go ahead and hit that with a 12 millimeter, and then with a 14 millimeter, you're gonna want to take off this bolt here, which will give you enough oomph to press the pump down so you can remove your belt. And then there are indentations on the pulley to get the bolt out the rest of the way. Also in the fan shroud too. Once that's done, we got, I believe, 3 14 millimeter bolts to the bracket to the block. Go ahead and take those off, and then we'll do our -6 and -10 lines. All right, just got the Frenchie's power steering pump on. I would highly recommend the bracket first, then putting the pump on, and then your lines of superb quality. Now we have so much more room for, not really activities, but freeze this whole section up. Now that is a non-Hikes pump. At this time, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the bearing tensioner, get the belt nice and torqued, and we should be good to go. All right, I would say a very successful install so far. I do need to run to the parts store and pick up a new belt. My current belt, which is a 4PK 915, is a little bit too small, and this OEM power steering belt that I had, which is a 4PK 945, is a little bit too big, so I'm thinking 4PK 930 should be perfect. And again, now with this idler pulley in, makes it so much easier to adjust the belt tension. Again, just putting pressure down on the belt and then locking it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and run to the parts store, and hopefully they have our belt in stock. Just got back from the parts store. Special ordered this 930 millimeter Gates belt, and unfortunately it does not fit. So on Amazon I went ahead and ordered a Bondo 935 and a 940, and I'm hoping the 940 works. Whatever belt doesn't work, I'll just go ahead and of course return. What I did want to mention while waiting on the belt, that from the pulley to the back end of this pump is about 4 inches. And then if you compare it to your OEM RB20, RB25 power steering pump, it is significantly shorter. Of course, we're eliminating the Hikes portion of the pump, but also great in weight savings. All right, after playing belt tag for the last 3 days, we finally have the belt that should work. I put in a 4PK 925, and it sits snug when tensioned, but not tight. Big shout out to Napa for having one more of these 4PK 920 belts in stock. This has to be the belt because it is honestly the only size I haven't tried between 915 to 940. And by the grace of God, the belt fits exactly how it should, and even tensioned. There's a little bit of play, but these power steering belts really don't need to be that tight, but I will figure that out once I get the car running and we bleed the power steering system. This job would definitely be easier with the motor out and or removing your fan and fan shroud. So I just opted on using this little crevice here to tension the tensioner and tighten the bolt holding the tensioner. But let's go ahead and start the Skyline now and bleed the power steering system. All right, about 5 minutes in. She's doing good, no leaks. Oh, I can't wait, guys. Again, Tuesday the 25th, Skyline's gonna be hitting the dyno, making astronomical numbers. I cannot wait. So much Frenchie's Performance Garage for making such an awesome power steering pump system. All right, power steering system fully bled, feels so much smoother now. Honestly, What I regret doing or not doing is when everything was out, swap out my R32 rack with a S15 rack from D-Max. I've read nothing but good things about the S15 rack, and all you really need to do is use S15 bushings and the chassis accepts it. But next time, my rack is doing good, so I mean, when the inevitable comes, that's when we will eventually swap it out. But dyno tune first, and then all the extra parts will follow. All right, everybody, and on that note, that is all I have for the video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you have any questions regarding the install, be sure to hit me up in the comments or via Instagram. One more video before the dyno video, and the next install is going to be a very beneficial one, a must-need for high horsepowered vehicles. And again, thank you everybody so much for the continued love and support. And if you're new to the channel too, want to hit the subscribe button, that'd be awesome. And remember, aim high, drive low. We'll catch you next video. Take care.